called Philippians. It's known as the joy letter. Philippians 1 verse 6, it says, I'm confident. Paul says, I'm confident of this very thing, that he who began a good work in me will continue to do it right up till the day of Jesus Christ. Where was it written? It was written within a prison cell. But from that place, he wrote a letter of joy. Once again, like when we read the scriptures, we must think about the context in which they were given. Paul wrote this joyful letter from a prison cell. Most of us would be thinking of ourselves and how we could get out of here. Like, let's do a prison break. I need to get out of here. Many of us quickly become selfish or think of ourselves when we enter into trials and tribulations or in suffering. And I guess it's probably instinctive in our nature, like we want to survive, we want to take care of ourselves. Once again, nothing wrong with that. Many ways to interpret that. But, you know, if we had to put ourselves in Paul's shoes, like, I wonder what we would have written. I wonder what that Facebook Live would have looked like. He and his co-worker, Silas, began to sing songs of joy and praise to the Most High God. Imagine that. These people are like nutcases, like, here. Other people must have thought these guys have lost it completely. Here they are, they're preaching fearlessly, boldly. They get arrested because they know they're not supposed to do this. They get thrown in prison cell, they get beaten. I can't remember how many times it was. Their feet and their hands was in shackles. And here they begin to have a praise and worship service. And this praise and worship from this place of pain and suffering caused a tremendous response from heaven. And there was an earthquake, a shaking. You see how powerful joy is, that once you step into this place of joy, the Bible says the joy of the Lord is our strength. Maybe it's speaking more than just an emotional or a physical strength. Maybe there is real power, real strength that is ushered in from a supernatural realm into this realm when I tap into joy. And remember, this joy is not happiness. Happiness is on the basis of good circumstances. Happiness is on the basis of maybe I'm feeling good. It's based on feeling, based on emotion. Joy is more than being happy. It is being aware of God's goodness. Like he said in Philippians 1 verse 6, I'm confident of this very thing, that he who began a good work in me will continue it. He wasn't having doubt. He wasn't having hopelessness. He was knowing that this good work that God has begun in me and in Philippi, he's going to continue. I know I'm sitting in a prison cell right now. I know I'm having pain right now, but this is not the end, because I've seen the end. I know the end because I know God. And I know that how he's working and how he is bringing things together. Paul was also the one who wrote in Romans that God's working all things good for those who love him. That there is a good work inside of us that was birthed from a place of pain. This joy that Paul carried is birthed from a prison cell. This revelation of joy was birthed from a prison cell. It wasn't birthed from sitting in a church with air conditioning. And your joy, your hope was birthed on the cross from a place of suffering and pain. The good work that Paul talks about, that's inside of us working, started on the cross. And Paul said, this is where I'm going to draw my joy from. Is from, I'm confident of this very thing, that he who began a good work in you will continue it. Because he did not suffer in vain. He rose from the dead and he's continuing that. So Paul and Silas, they are tapping into this place of joy. And because they are joyful, because they are being aware of the good work of God in them, they started singing praise and worship. Because it's never about the song. It's never about the band. It's never about how good the music sounds. It's about the heart. That's where the volume carries. That's where the weight carries. And we see heaven responds and there's a shaking. And we see that these prison cells are shaken too. Nothing. Everyone is set free, not just Paul and Silas. Every prisoner there is set free. But guess what? No one runs away. They don't need to run because they are not prisoners. No one holds them. When you are aware of God who has given us freedom, who has given us hope, who has given us joy, who has given us strength in that joy, you don't need to survive. You don't need to hide. You don't need to defend yourself. Because it is as simple as doing praise and worship in the middle of pain, in the middle of suffering, in the middle of a prison cell, and boom, everything that has held you captive gets broken down. And the reason why they stayed was for one reason: the jailer. They want to set him free as well. Because the one who was really captive was the jailer, not them. The real way that we are going to step into a place of freedom, into a place of joy, into a place of strength, is not to pray and ask God to change our circumstance, but to ask God to change us. What we need is greater revelation of who God is. Because if you have a greater revelation of who God is, no prison can keep you. Because you're going to be like, okay, great, fine. I'm just going to carry on doing what I'm doing because of this good work that God has started in me, that He has began in me. And you just continue doing that, what God tells you to do. I mean, God didn't necessarily tell them to do that. That came spontaneous from their overflow of being aware of God, being conscious of God. And it led to a prison cell being shaken down to nothing.